guys, welcome back to our channel IELTS Winner. Hope you all are doing fine and staying safe in your house in this pandemic. So today we are going to see a very important topic, and that is how to speak for IELTS speaking part 3, that is follow-up questions, general questions. Okay, we will be seeing the structure, some tips, and then the phrases for introducing a answer and then explaining it and giving example and how to conclude. So we will see each thing systematically. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 tips and strategies and phrases, do visit our channel and subscribe to it, and that is IELTS Winners. Okay, and click on that bell icon so that you are notified with all the latest May to August questions, template, essay templates, task 1 and task 2, as well as the predicted cue cards that may come from in May to August from Makkah. Okay, so subscribe and share so that we can help you to prepare in a very effective way. So let's see how to answer for speaking part 3 follow-up questions. First, let's see the overview. So as we all know that part 3 are the follow-up questions for part 2. Okay, so the part 3 questions are not like part 1 or part 2. In part 1 and part 2, the examiner has some set of questions, some set of strategies that it will ask you. But part 3 depends on your part 2 answers. Okay, the cue card. Maybe nowadays there is a big change in part 3 that the cross questioning for part 3 is too much. That is, the part 3 is not scripted, but the examiner may ask you and interrupt you and ask you the questions from part 2 topic, the topic that you have chosen and spoken. So if the cue card was describe a time when you lost phone, and you have taken a plot like you lost your phone on station, then the follow-up questions or the part 3 questions may relate to stations. Why do people lose phone on stations, or why people are not allowed to use cell phones on railway stations, something like that. Okay, so it completely depends on the examiner if he changes the set of the questions. So it may not be on mobile phones, but the questions may come up. Cross questioning can come up from the topic that you are speaking. So as I always say, speaking is not about ideas but the fluency. You should be very careful while preparing for your IELTS speaking is that do not worry much about ideas, worry about your fluency, your grammar and your pronunciation. So even if you're not talking about railway stations and you say that as I don't have much knowledge about it, and you talk about bus stand or a taxi or any other traveling mode, it is fine. You have to be on the topic so that your lexical resources are there. So for that reason you need to be on topic. But in order to get the topic answer and to find some good lexical resources word related to the topic, you are losing your fluency and pronunciation, then it is not at all going to help you. So focus on your fluency, be fluent. Even if you want to say I don't know, don't say I don't know, say it in a very sophisticated way. As I do not have much knowledge about it, you have to build up. Okay, so it's all about show off in speaking. Okay, just show off your language skills. No harm in showing off in your IELTS speaking. Okay, so the cue card, the follow-up questions are related to the cue card, and you need to answer just like a mini essay. Your part 3 question should not be your personal views, not like I went, I did, I feel. No, your answer should be on a broader perspective, on a general perspective, what people or individuals. So why people don't use cell phone on railway stations? Because people think, individuals feel, according to me, they do, they that. Okay, so the argument or disagreement or opinion is yours, but you have to give on general basis. Even examples should be on general basis, not personal like part 1 and part 2. And you have to construct like an essay. That is one background statement, support points, explanation of support point, example and conclusion. So a mini body paragraph. You have to speak for maximum 40 to 45 seconds or even less or even more. It depends on examiner, but the ideal seconds is 40 to 45 seconds. That is 6 to 8 statement. So one background, 2 points, one example and conclusion will bring to 6-7 statements. So you need to follow this. Do not give two-line or personal experience. Okay, so if the examiner asks, do you agree that nowadays people are not exercising much? Yes, I do agree to this. No. If you say like this and give one more line, I think they are not exercising, then your band score is going below 5 or even 5, I don't know. So do not give very one line or two line or very short answers. Elaborate, explain, justify your opinion, justify your answers. Show your language skill. It's not about your answers, it's about how well you can explain in English. So focus on explaining, showing your language. And do not give personal answer, as I said. Paraphrase the question. Now this is very important, just like in IELTS writing we do, in speaking as well. Paraphrasing plays a very crucial role to get 7+ band. So if the examiner asks, do you think people do you agree that people are not exercising much, and in your answer you said yes, I agree, people nowadays are not exercising much, and then you explain, even this will not get you 7 band because you said the same words from the question. So you need to give different answer. So do you agree? As far as I am concerned, yes, I do. I am in accordance with this topic, and I think people have become lethargic and they are moving away from doing any physical exercise or any physical movement. Okay, so I am saying the same thing but in a total different way. So paraphrasing is a key to get good bands in your IELTS, all modules, everything. Paraphrasing is the favorite. As I always say, paraphrasing is a favorite child of IELTS. So you need to have a very good command over your paraphrasing. So do paraphrase each and every question. Starts. As it is always said, first impression is the best impression. So you need to start by saying a good introductory phrase or good introductory line. Not philosophical or cliche type, but yes, a good. So do you agree? If I have to choose, yes, I do concur with this, or I do concur with this statement. Or you can say, to my knowledge, yes, of course. Or according to me, in my perspective, as far as my mind serves me right, as far as my knowledge serves me right, broadly speaking, generally speaking, you will see later on in the video what phrases you can use. So give your first line very good. And if you are not getting any idea, you need time. Even I have made a video on that, that when you are not getting any idea and you need time to think, you can use some introductory phrases to get time, to buy time for yourself to think, as well as show how good you can be. So do watch that video on our phrases and idiom playlist, that is how to speak fluently. You can use the phrases like, that's quite catchy question, I have never thought about it. That one is quite difficult. I literally am running out of ideas for it. Well, that's quite interesting, I never thought about it. That's a thought-provoking question. Let me gather my thoughts. So you can say all these sentences and many more phrases. If you watch the video, you will learn them. These will give that, okay, you are not getting the idea and you need time. That is general. We are human beings, not robotic machines to just answer like that. Okay, so just keep saying something. Give some good language, because ultimately it's a language exam, not your idea exam. So say something that gives a good impression on the examiner, that you have a well coordinated answer, a well coordinated word placements, even if you are running out of ideas. So you will be appreciated if you speak like this, instead of saying, well, I don't have any idea on this. I don't know what to say for this. No, instead of saying such cliche words, say something beautifully and gracefully. Also, as soon as you hear the question, don't start answering. As I said, we are not machines, we are not fed. You are a human being, we are human beings. We take time to understand the question, understand it properly, understand what the examiner is exactly asking. If you do not understand, ask him. There is no issue. Don't ask for every question, of course, but yes, ask him. I, pardon me, I didn't understand. Could you please repeat the question? Would you mind repeating the question? I didn't quite catch it. You ask in a very polite and humble way to repeat the question. That is absolutely fine. Okay? Instead of just as soon as I stop the question, you start answering, where are you giving time to think? You are not giving your mind time to think. And if your mind is not thinking, good language is not going to come out of your mouth because mind is just blasted. What to say? He didn't give me time. It's going to say like this. So take time, take pauses and speak. Take pauses and speak. Every sentence you can take pauses instead of just stretching it with fillers like, well, I think if I'm not wrong, I suppose, instead of doing that, just pause. Well, if I'm not wrong, I think people have become lethargic, and that is the reason they are not at all exercising. So you give up and down, you go low, you go up, you fluctuate, you pause, you keep the examiner interactive, you keep the uh, he is just bound to your answer. He's not looking here and there. He is attracted towards what you are saying. So you keep him engaged with the variations in your sound. That is called intonation and pronunciation. So you give these fluctuations, you pause, you emphasize to keep yourself on track as well as to avoid fillers and give time to think what you need to say. So these are simple things that you need to take care of while you are giving speaking, apart from thinking only about ideas and lexical resources. These are the things that you should more focus on because it's about your language skill, not your expertise on a particular topic. Okay, so this is what we were talking about. Okay, so I think I have covered almost all the things that we should use. Okay, so give good answers. Don't just run. Give a general background or introductory line. Do not start. So if they say that, do you agree that people are not exercising? Yes, people are not doing physical exercises because they think this. Don't directly go into the answer. Just give a background opinion statement. Okay, if it is an opinion or if it is asking you something, you say according to me, in my view. So starting phrase is essential. Use as much linkers, connectors, signposts. Okay, so linkers. Additionally, in addition, apart from this, owing to this, due to this, all these words, linkers, you need to use connectors again, and yet, but, because, whereas, wherein, conjunctions, and your subordinators. Signpost. If I am not wrong, well, I have to think. Just give me a moment. As far as I am concerned, that's quite tricky, that's interesting, that's very thought-provoking. So these are called signposts. That gives you time to think about what to speak next. So use all these as much as possible. Along with this, it is also very essential to use adjectives and adverbs in your answer in speaking part 3. For example, if you are saying that yes, I agree, instead of saying yes, admittedly, I do agree that, or I do concur that. Interestingly, okay, advisedly, surprisingly, generally, broadly. So use adjectives and adverbs as much as possible in your IELTS speaking part 3. That not only gives a better cohesion and shows your fluency, but it also gives a proper flow of the sentence. Okay, there is a very good coherence and cohesion in your answer when you use these words. Also, it gives an emphasis, and thus your intonation is also improved. So use them as much as possible. Avoid personal or informal language. So personal, your opinion. For example, last time when I was very tired, I did not go for exercise. No, instead of saying you, we just give. If a person after a hectic job is very tired, he may not be able to do exercise. Okay, so this is how we give example in part 3, a third person's perspective. A person, an individual, a child, a human, a lady, a gents, like that we give a general background. Informal language. Do not say yeah, yes I do, no. You have to keep it formal. In part 1 and part 2, of course, informal language and contractions, those things you need to add love to, add go to. But in part 3, keep it a bit formal, not too like writing, but yes, bit formal like a speaking presentation. How you speak in your office presentation or your school or college scenario presentation. In that manner, you have to say. Use phrases to introduce a point or give example. Always give some phrase. Instead of saying, last time when I went to this, you say, to illustrate with an example or to cite an example for you last time when I went. It can be aptly described by an example, that is when last time I, okay, like this. Use phrases to introduce a point, explain a point, as well as give example. If you are not stopped, if you are lucky enough or unlucky enough, if you are not stopped, conclude your answer. There is no issues. It also shows your conclusive techniques. So if possible, conclude your answer. As I already said, do not say I don't know, I'm sorry, I didn't catch. No, say it in a better way. Okay, say in a sophisticated manner. To be honest, I have no knowledge about this. To be frank with you, my knowledge isn't quite up to date on this topic. In this way, you can say, I don't know, and saying in this gives a various method. So you can use all these things. So I hope the ideas and methods to speak is very clear. All in all, speaking is all about how well pronounced and how well fluently, like a native speaker, you can speak. Accent doesn't matter, but fluency and grammar do. So focus more on that. Apart from that, if you are much more good in practice, you have practiced well enough, then start using your lexical resources. And the best way to avoid that stammer and everything is to take as much mock test as possible. Okay, so whenever you take mock test, you are answering instantly, and that instant answering is what is needed in IELTS speaking, because you don't know what may come. How much ever you prepare, whenever someone asks you questions at that moment, how quickly you answer comes only when you have practiced that as many times as possible. So take mocks, answer instantly as many times as possible to get better bands. Now you will see phrases in the video, that how to start, how to end, how to give example, and how to add your points or examples in your part 3. Okay, so if you like the video, do subscribe to our channel, click on the bell icon, and please like our other videos also by watching our all the videos and getting benefited.